Comedy as a form is actually pretty bland. Many comedians simply wander a stage telling anecdotes. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't devalue their comedy at all. But every now and then, you get that comedian who comes along and changes the entire perspective and form of comedy. Bo Burnham was born on the 21st of August 1990 in Hamilton, Massachusetts, to Scott and Patricia Burnham. As a teenager, Bo began publishing funny songs that he wrote onto YouTube. He unintentionally became a viral hit. This led him to sign a 4-year deal with Comedy Central Records and enter comedy. His first special was 2010's Words, Words, Words. It revolves around the idea that art is dead. He focuses on the idea of what we find funny and art itself and what art has become. With songs like Art is Dead.
Have you ever been to a birthday party for children? One of the children won't stop screaming cause he's just a little attention attractor when he grows up to be a comic or actor.
He shows us how soulless comedy and media has become. And then with What's Funny, he takes the entire idea of humour and flips it on its head. And he finishes up with Oboe, a satirical take on what hip-hop has become. This really sets the tone for Bo's style of comedy. He uses this and evolves it deeper and greater in his second special, What? He moves away from the lies of simply performance and focuses on the lies of life. However, from this special, I just want to focus on his finale, We Think We Know You. It focuses on 3 characters talking to him. A girl who seemingly ignored him all throughout high school due to being unpopular, and now all of a sudden wants to be friends with him and having him perform at a party. This is then followed by an agent from out in LA who wants to expand the Bo Burnham brand and effectively asks him to pander to the kids. And then there's a dumb jock meathead sort of guy who calls him a fag and says how he's changed even though he never knew him personally, but apparently heard comedy turned him into an asshole. He then rants and mashes together the first few words of each character into a beat. And then he puts their voices together into the phrase, We Think We Know You. It goes into a musical sort of mashup. But these represent 3 different ways that people could be making assumptions about him. 1, people assume that now he's famous, he'll forget about things popular people did to hurt him before and everything will be fine. 2, that he's willing to ruin his own work for personal or financial gain. And 3, that fame has changed him for the worse. I think the song really shows how Bo sees his own fame and his own popularity as a hindrance. But there is a special I want to talk about in a lot more detail. His most recent and seemingly final for an indefinite amount of time special, Make Happy, was released on Netflix in 2016. It's an insanely choreographed, amazing hybrid of comedy, music, performance, and a deeper look into Bo's own mental state and personal opinions. Obviously, I'd probably already put a warning by now, but this is a massive spoiler alert. If you haven't watched Make Happy, this is the one you need to watch, because I will basically be explaining a lot of it. Reflection on mental state and mental health starts right from the first frame, as Bo wakes up in a hotel room, dressed in clown makeup. This is potentially a suggestion that he's a man who makes people happy, but can't feel that happiness himself and just has to put it on as a lie. I'll get to that later in the special. He then proceeds to have a robotic voice welcome the audience and say, "The world is not funny." It describes various world problems, and then he proceeds to use this for humour in this line.
The world is not funny. Guy Fieri owns 2 functioning restaurants.
But aside from that, the show begins with various lighting effects, and a man sat on stage, who we think to be Bo, seemingly replicating Bo at the start of his previous special What. We learn that this isn't Bo, as Bo walks on stage and chews him off. But this sets an idea in the head of an audience that art is a lie. It sets the idea that art is manufactured and not always real. Sure, you'll have moments of honesty, but in there, a lot of it is fabricated for entertainment. But he carries on with the tone of performance and art, used in Words, Words, Words and What, and we'll get to why he does that later. He then goes into Hell Yeah.
Fellas, come on, fellas, if you feel me, say hell yeah. Virgins, if you haven't felt a person, say hell yeah. If you can divide by 0, let me hear you say hell yeah. No, you can't. Mathematically impossible.
A light-hearted call and response that conveys a clearly funny tone. And he then asks the audience,
let's get introspective. I can't wrap my mind around exactly why I'm here. I know you paid money, I should be funny. Other than that, don't know why I'm here. To make you laugh, right? That's only half right.
The lights dim. He puts forward to the audience the idea that he doesn't feel as if he deserves to be on that stage and doesn't understand why he's here. But one line that really sets the tone of the special is,
you wanna be happy, well get in line.
He then has an energetic sprint around the stage and repeatedly says, let's get the show going. And he completely, well basically once this ends, he completely defies audience expectations and pokes fun at the regularity and normality of the very art form he's part of. It's like just a normal, warmer lighting, and he just says,
so I was at the dentist the other day.
Then he talks for a bit, mostly riffing off and making fun of the audience and himself, which is a large part of his humour, before the lights change to a more personal tone with the spotlight as he walks towards his keyboard and starts Straight White Male.
I got no one to talk to, there's everyone, and then there's just me. If I could change, don't you think that I'd do it? God only knows why he cursed me to be a straight white man.
It's a song based on the pure irony of a straight white man complaining about his first world problems. The song is funny, but it could give a deeper meaning about how mental well-being isn't how tough your life is. It's really up to you whether you agree with that. I'm not sure.
But you can't say my life is easy until you've walked a mile in my Uggs.
He then goes into a comedic monologue on the subject of race. Watch it before you call him a racist. Then a pre-recorded track interrupts him, repeatedly calling him a faggot and a fucking faggot until he asks it to stop. And then in the next bit, he illustrates hip-hop's move away from lyrical meaning, which he's done before in Oboe, but this time he wanted to focus on this change to beat fetishism. And he did this by performing a hip-hop rendition of I'm a Little Teapot and Bar Bar Black Sheep.
Oh shit! I am not one of you. I am not a human being. You know what I am? I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, sing it, tip me over it. Let's go.
I'm not kidding. And then he goes back and pokes fun at the art of comedy and the fact that it's a lie once more in the improv section, where he asks an audience member's name and then proceeds to fill in a blank bit of the song about fucking someone's mother with his name.
for the master, one for the dame, one for the little boy that's living down the lane. Why is there a young boy living alone down the lane? Who signed this boy's lease?
Then he goes into pandering. It's a song that divides a lot of Bo Burnham fans because many simply don't like it, but I really like the message it delivers about music. It mocks the blatant lies and, as he calls it, country mad libs of modern stadium country music. It makes fun of the very art of music. It makes fun of art, a theme which obviously comes up so much in Bo Burnham's work. Then he does a mime segment. You heard me. A mime segment. Before going into Lower Your Expectations, which openly mocks the high standards of people wanting relationships and tells them to lower their own expectations. This is then followed by a comparison of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich when drunk and when high. It firstly seems to begin as what's just a simple comedic sketch. However, it becomes a bit deeper and darker when he switches from making a sandwich high to making one shit-faced. And then his presumed girlfriend walks in on him. He presents the drinking as a common problem, but he uses the fact he's filming the show to communicate with the audience. He looks down to the camera and he says,
"This is what I deal with, man. This is what I deal with Monday through Monday."
Who are you talking to right now? You just gestured to the sink.
There's an
what does that
audience
mean?
full of people.
Okay, you know what? This bit is getting a little too weird and meta. Okay, we're done with this.
I agree. Where's that going?
Then he pokes fun at sponsorships with a fake Flamin' Hot Cheetos advert. It doesn't really contribute to a deeper meaning. I'm just gonna play it because I like it.
This comedy performance is brought to you in part by
Sorry about this.
Flaming Hot Cheetos.
Flamin' hot Cheetos. Cheetos with the flamin' hot. No Cheetos are for pussies. Flamin' Cheetos are not for pussies, that is.
They're not sponsoring me. I'm just trying to get them to. Not returning my call. Have you ever felt sad or lonely?
Then this transitions into what's arguably his most famous song, Kill Yourself.
They like to kick you when times get rough, and you give your all, but it's not enough, and sticks and stones might break your bones, but words can break your heart. But if you don't know where to go, I'll show you where to start.
Before and after this song, he makes the point that you shouldn't listen to the advice in the songs of pop singers, and also that life's toughest problems don't have simple answers. And it's, when you think about it deeper, it's sort of telling people to take things with a grain of salt in music. Something that he did in Repeat Stuff, where he blatantly pokes fun at the entire idea of the genre of pop music. But anyway, he then deals with some brief heckling from the audience before performing a song about a breakup he had. We don't know whether he actually had this breakup or it's just a comedic effect. He initially presents it as a man lashing out at his girlfriend for choosing to break up with him, but then it's presented as him hiding his own emotions with anger, and the whole thing is flipped, and then the girl lashes out at him at the end. And then, here's what I referenced earlier. Bo analyses the meaning of his own show, and he says that he was brought into performing professionally quite young as a teenager, and that his comedy is based so much on performance because it's all that he's known, and that how they expect him to talk about his problems or his observations in daily life. But as he says in the green room,
I never talk about what I really think about on stage directly because I don't value what I think at this point about those issues. Well, just really, like, I don't think anyone wants to get up and hear a 20-year-old, like, tell them what they think about how the world works.
he then talks about how we're living in a time where everybody wants to perform and can because of social media. He describes it in a way that it creates an insane hybrid of audience and performer. And then this all culminates into saying he was watching Kanye West, and he was on about his rant at the end of the Yeezus tour. And then we get to Can't Handle This, which is what I want to look quite deep into. The song starts and he's comedically talking about the problem of trying to fit his hand into a Pringle can, and how his burrito is overfilled at Chipotle. He then says how he wouldn't have got said ingredients if he knew it wouldn't fit. He talks deeper to the audience about how, in reality, they are his biggest problem.
I can sit here and pretend like my biggest problems are Pringle cans and burritos. The truth is my biggest problem's you. I want to please you, but I want to stay true to myself. I want to give you the night out that you deserve, but I want to say what I think and not care what you think about it. A part of me loves you, a part of me hates you.
Then one line changes the whole thing.
I don't think that I can handle this right now. Handle this right now. I don't think that I can handle this right now.
I think that the burrito analogy means a lot more than it seems on surface level. Especially when he says it all again, and he goes down the line and each ingredient looks seemingly perfect. He wants to add it all to the burrito, and then he gets to where they wrap it. He's where he wants to be. He's at the top of his career and his life. He's on top, but then obviously there's too much, and the ingredients start spilling out of the burrito. And the repetition of how you should have warned me, and that he wouldn't have gone into half of this if he knew what would happen at the end of it all. But then,
so here I go. Wouldn't have got the lettuce if I knew it wouldn't fit. Wouldn't have got the cheese if I knew it wouldn't fit. Wouldn't have got the peppers if I knew they wouldn't. Wouldn't have got half. You can tell them anything if you just make it funny, make it rhyme. And if they still don't understand you, then you will run it one more time.
the metaphor goes when he says this.
They're just staring at me like, come and watch the skinny kid with a steadily declining mental health, and laugh as he attempts to give you what he cannot give himself.
Honestly, it shocks us that someone whose living is made out of giving joy to others implies that he cannot feel joy himself.
You don't even know the half of this right now, right now. Handle this right, I'll handle this right, handle this right now. Thank you, good night, I hope you're happy.
Bo Burnham was plunged into comedy as a teenager, and then he proceeded to change what people thought was possible within comedy. And I think his greatest achievement was using an art based upon laughter to create sadness, but a sense of awareness for the way that a comedian truly feels and a way that people should feel about the world. He openly admitted his act is based on hypocrisy, and within that hypocrisy, there are these flickering moments of truth, and they stand out more than anything. They show the deeper meaning of comedy, performance, fame, and life in general. So, I'd like to leave you with this.
You know, and I feel like I was born in 1990, and I was sort of raised in America when it was a cult of self-expression, and I was just taught, you know, express myself and have things to say, and everyone will care about them. And I think everyone was taught that, and most of us found out no one gives a shit what we think. So we flock to performers by the thousands because we're the few that have found an audience, and then I'm supposed to get up here and say, follow your dreams, as if this is a meritocracy. It is not, okay? I had a privileged life, and I got lucky, and I'm unhappy. They say it's like the me generation. It's not. It's not. The arrogance is taught, or it was cultivated. It's self-conscious. That's what it is. It's conscious of self. What the social media, it's just the market's answer to a generation that demanded to perform. So the market said, here, perform everything to each other all the time for no reason. It's prison. It's horrific. It is performer and audience melded together. What do we want more than to lie in our bed at the end of the day and just watch our life as a satisfied audience member? I know very little about anything, but what I do know is that if you can live your life without an audience, you should do it.